Hi, I hope I'm audible. I'll wait for about till 6:05 and then I'll start in case there are other people to join. Hi, I'll start the session in another five minutes so that if there are others, they can join. All right, I think I'll start, and if there are others to join, I'll let them in accordingly. Yeah. So, um, good evening, everyone. I'm Anaka. I'm a PhD scholar at IITB, and I'll be taking the Tuesday sessions for the problem solving session that we have for the NPTEL course, post harvest operations and processing of fruit, vegetables, spices, and plantation crop products. Right. So I'll just explain for those who might be joining for the first time how this works. So there are two sessions, two problem solving sessions. One is on Sunday and one is on Tuesday. The one on Sunday is taken by another TA, and the one on Tuesday is taken by me. And what we do is we will have questions, around 20 questions each session, that will be based on the module that you've studied this past week. And these questions will be somewhat similar to what you have for your assignment questions. So you might get idea of how to solve them. And assignment questions we won't be helping you with till the due date is over. So if you have doubts in the assignment questions after the due date is over, you can just let us know and we'll help you out with those too. Just for your information, the assignment for week 1 and week 2, the last date is tomorrow. So in case you haven't completed it, please do it. So today's session is for the second module of the course out of the 12, and I'll be taking around 20 questions. And today's module is mostly theory. There are no numericals. Um, and so, how I would like to do this is that I will give you the question and I'll ask you if you know the answer. You can try guessing the answer, that's also not a problem. And you can either unmute yourself and answer, or if you find it easier to not unmute yourself, you can write it in the chat. I'll keep my chat open. uh, and you can try to answer, then I'll tell you what the answer is and we can discuss the answer. If there are any doubts, I'll hope you'll stop me or write it in the chat. I'll clear the doubts also. And so that's it, I think. Let's go to the questions. Yes, in case my voice is not audible or you can't see the PPT, please do let me know. All right. So let's start with the first question. Are there any doubts right now regarding this problem solving session or anything like that? All right, I'll assume it to be no. So let's move on to question number one. Uh, so the first question is, which of the following statement is correct regarding the role of temperature in the deterioration of produce? And there are four options given to you. Option A is exposure to undesirable temperature results in physiological disorders such as freezing injury, chilling injury, and heat injury. Option B is an increase of 10 degrees Celsius above the optimum temperature decreases the deterioration rate by 2 times. Option C is temperature does not influence the growth rate of fungal spores and pathogens. And option 4 is environmental temperature has a minimal role in the deterioration of produce. So, out of these four options, you're supposed to figure out which one are the correct ones. And there can be a single correct answer or there can be multiple correct answers. That is not already given to you. So, do you guys have any guesses as to what the answer is from these four? You can just write it in the chat.
Ma'am, option A is true.
Option A, all right. Does anyone else have a different answer? All right, I'm not seeing any other answers. So let's see what the answer is for this question. So the answer, did you have something to say? All right. So the correct answer is option A. So that is exposure to undesirable temperature results in physiological disorders such as freezing injury, chilling injury, and heat injury. So if you store a fruit in very very cold temperatures, right? Freezing temperatures. So what happens is ice crystals will be formed from the water, right? And they will pierce the cells, right? And even if you thaw the fruit again, right, you will not get the same taste profile, the flavor profile, or the texture for the fruit. Similarly, heat injury too. So if you store them in a higher temperature, you know that heat to certain degrees can deteriorate or degrade proteins, right? And in that case, and heat can also, a higher temperature can also change the metabolic profile of the fruits and vegetables, and that can also, result in uh, you know heat injury, freezing injury, chilling injury, etc. Right.
Ma'am, what is the range? Means highest and for the lowest.
For the lowest, it depends on different fruits. So if it is a fruit that grows well in colder temperatures, so there are certain fruits that grow in colder temperatures, right? So they are more resistant to uh, chill injury, like freezing injuries, okay, cold injuries. So it is easier for them to survive in fridge, etc. So there will be certain vegetables that they will tell you not to keep in the fridge, right? Because these vegetables are not grown, like they don't know how to survive a chilled temperature because they've grown in tropical climates. So they don't have proteins against these cold, that protects them against the cold. So even if you keep them not in the freezer, just in the fridge, it might lead to change in flavor profile. So for different fruits and vegetables, it's different. Okay. So
Ma'am, we can have vacuum freezing.
vacuum freezing can be done, but the thing is that is for mostly long-term storage. That is not for, um, you know, like if you want to, if you have like strawberries, for example. Okay, so strawberries you get in other countries, you still get it all around the season, but in India you get it in the winter seasons, right? And if you want strawberries in right now at this time, if you look at Blinkit or any other portal that is delivering fruits to you, you will see that they're selling frozen strawberries. So when there is the only option that you can have these fruits, at that point you can do vacuum freezing. But if you're giving fresh fruits, you don't usually vacuum freeze. It's just to offset the demand. All right, is that clear? Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So option B was an increase in 10 degree above the optimum temperature decreases the deterioration rate by 2 times. So this is incorrect, and that is because an increase, yeah, sorry, an increase of 10 degrees Celsius, as you would have seen in the last module, increases the deterioration rate by 2 to 3 times. So this is incorrect. Okay. Temperature does not influence the growth rate of fungal spores and pathogens. This is also not correct because the higher the temperature, the more humid it is. It is easier for fungal spores and other pathogenic organisms like bacteria to multiply, right? And the last one is environmental temperature has a minimal role in deterioration of produce. That is also not correct because, like I said, the more the temperature increases than the optimal temperature, the easier it is for the fruit or vegetable to start rotting. All right. So, any doubts in this question? All right. So, I'm assuming no. And I'll move on to the next question. So, the next question is, which of the following chemicals is commonly used to control spoilage and improve the quality of grapes? There are four options: thiobendazole, ethyl oleate, sulfur dioxide, and sodium phenylphenate. This is very, just one sec, someone is trying to join. Yeah, so this is just in terms of grapes. So, which one is commonly used for grapes? And this is a more theory question, so it's something that you will have to remember as such, right? So maybe I'll move on to the answer because I'm not seeing any guesses in the chat. So the answer is sulfur dioxide. So sulfur dioxide is the gas sulfur dioxide is used to control spoilage and improve the quality of grapes. So this chemical will help preventing any spoilage that can happen in grapes, and it will maintain their quality during storage and transport. Right. So this is a very straightforward one. So I think I'll move on to question number three. Right. So question number three is again, which of the following statements about hydrocooling is are correct? There are four options. Produce is cooled by cold water, either by immersion or showering. Option two is heat transfer takes place by radiation. Option three is produce does not dehydrate but gets clean by reducing the primary inoculum load. And option 4 is stem leafy vegetables. Some fruits and fruit type vegetables can be cooled by this method. So out of this, which are correct or which is correct? Again, I'm reminding you there can be one or multiple correct answers.
Ma'am, can there be two options, right?
Yeah, there can
Two
be
or three?
two, three, four. All of them can be right.
Ma'am, I guess option two is incorrect and others are right.
All right. Does anyone else have something else? Like, do you think it's something else? All right. So let's move and see what the answer is. So yes, you were correct. Option two is incorrect, and one, three, and four is correct. So hydro cooling, like the name itself is telling you, hydro means water. Cooling is the cooling, right? Um, the produce is cooled by cold water, either by immersion, you're completely immersing the fruit in the water, or you're showering the water on top of the produce. All right, so this is correct. Produce does not get dehydrated but gets cleaned by reducing the primary inoculum load. So, since there'll be, you know, maybe manure, maybe unclean water, or things like that on the surface of the fruits and vegetables. So, by this, either by immersion or by showering, you're removing the inoculum load on the surface of these fruits and vegetables. And it is the best ways for cooling stem leafy vegetables, so the vegetables and fruits which are soft. Okay, so stem leafy vegetables, fruits, and fruit type vegetables can be cooled by this method. So why is option 2 incorrect? It's saying heat transfer takes place by radiation, but in hydrocooling, heat transfer takes place by conduction and convection, not by radiation. Right? So 1, 3, and 4 is correct. So let's move on, if there are no doubts, to question number 4. So question number 4 is, which of the following statements about cryogenic cooling is are correct? Option 1 is the use of latent heat of evaporation of liquid nitrogen or solid carbon dioxide can produce boiling temperatures of 196 and minus 196 degrees Celsius and minus 78 degrees Celsius respectively. Option 2 is in cryogenic cooling, the produce is cooled by conveying it through a tunnel in which the liquid nitrogen or solid carbon dioxide evaporates. Option 3 is cryogenic cooling is relatively expensive to install but cheap to run. And option 4 is the main application of cryogenic cooling is in cooling crops such as soft fruits which have seasonal production period. So this was the cooling that you had. This is the sort of cooling that you had mentioned before, right? So if you have seasonal products, what happens to them? Like, this is an answer to that question too. So which are correct according to you?
Option one, two, and three.
One, two, and three. All right. So let's see what the correct answer is. So actually, one, two, and four is the correct answer. So in this case, the use of latent heat of evaporation of liquid nitrogen or dry ice can produce boiling temperatures. So for liquid nitrogen and for dry ice, the boiling temperature, that is when they convert from the solid state to water vapors. I mean vapors of nitrogen and dry ice, right? Is minus 196 degrees Celsius and minus 78 degrees Celsius, right? So that is correct. In cryogenic cooling, the produce is cooled by conveying it through a tunnel in which liquid nitrogen or solid CO2 evaporates is also correct, right? So you're not making contact of the fruits and vegetables directly to the liquid nitrogen and the dry ice. The contact is between the fruits and vegetables and the vapors of liquid nitrogen, or in this case, uh, the vapors of nitrogen and the dry ice, right? So cryogenic cooling is relatively cheap to install, all right, because all you need is the conveyor setup, but it is expensive to run. So it's the opposite of what is written here, because dry ice and liquid nitrogen both are expensive, right? And you have to maintain the conditions very carefully. Option number four, the main application of cryogenic cooling is cooling crops such as soft fruits, which have seasonal production period, is also correct. So, since they have seasonal production period, you are cooling them and you can store them for longer, so that you can extend the amount of time that they are being sold, right? Instead of just the seasonal period. Any doubts in this question?
Ma'am, I will be giving GATE next year.
All right.
So in food technology,
Hmm.
and in there multiple select options appear. And now, what happened? I told one, two, and three, and options were one, two, and four.
Yeah.
So if one option is incorrect, then I will get marks, or it will be zero.
I think it will be zero. It's been a long time since I've given gate, but I
No minus marking.
yeah, gate does not, if from what I remember, does not have it, right? Gate. This can I check and tell you? This I gave it some 7 years ago, so I have no idea what it is now. I'll check before the class gets over
How
and
to
I'll tell you.
know? How to know how much options are right or all the options are right? Because
That is,
sometimes it's
yeah, that you
confusing.
can't guess. Like it is better. So when you're giving gate or other exams like this, it is, if you don't know exactly what is correct, it is easier for you to, you know, check, uncheck things that you are 100% sure is incorrect. But you can't be sure if you don't know the correct answer. You can't be sure if how many answers are or how many options are correct. So that is a bit based on luck also. In the case that
We
you
will
don't
not
know the
get
answer.
partial marking.
Hmm?
No partial marking are there, no?
No passing mark? Yeah, no, there is no passing mark. I think there is
No,
depend.
partial marking.
That I will have to check. That is what I don't remember about it.
Okay,
So,
okay.
all right. So I'll check that and tell you. Right. So let's move on to question number four. Sorry, question number five. So question number five is, which of the following statement is are correct about the general requirements for cold chain conditions? Okay. There are four options given to you. Ensure food are transferred in continuous operation. Cooked and uncooked food should be stored together. Frequent and systematic temperature checks using appropriate and calibrated instruments are required, and retail display cabinets can be overloaded to maximum storage. So, out of these, which do you think are correct?
Ma'am, option one and three.
One and three. All right. Let's see if that is the correct answer. So, yes. So, the correct answer is in fact one and three. Ensure foods are transferred in a continuous operation. Yes, because if you are trying to, transport the fruits and vegetables in a cold chain condition, if you have in between one process in which the temperature varies, right? So if you in cold, instead of being in cold, if it starts heating up, and again if you bring it back to cold conditions, like I said, the uh, water the water molecules will form crystals which will pierce the cells, right? And then you will lose the texture and the taste once you actually require the, consuming of the product. So you have to maintain the cold conditions throughout the transport. All right. um, Option 2, cooked and uncooked food should be stored together, is incorrect, because once you've cooked the food, you have removed a lot of chances of, spoilage, because that cooking itself, yeah. So the cooking itself will decrease the amount of pathogens that are present, right? But for uncooked food, that is not the case. Uncooked food is under more chances of spoilage. Like if cooked food you've stored properly, then the chances of spoilage is very less. But in terms of uncooked food, there can still be a pathogenic load onto it, right? So if you store them together, you are just increasing the chance that the pathogenic load from the uncooked food goes to the cooked food, right? So they should not be stored together, they should be stored separately. So this is not correct, obviously. Option 3, which is frequent and systemic temperature checks using appropriate and calibrated instrumentation are required. Yes. So you have to ensure that the temperature variation is not very high between the steps, like between transfers, right? So using calibrated instruments, you have to check the temperature frequently, because if you are not checking the temperature. Gauri, you have a question? If you don't want to unmute yourself, you can just write it in the chat box. All right. So I'm assuming there is no doubt. So yeah, so you have to check frequently the temperature of the different steps in your cold chain condition, I mean cold chain, so that you're ensuring that there is not a big difference between the temperatures between the steps, right? So if you have uh, like one place where you have a very low temperature, right? You can't move the produce into a relatively higher temperature and then again move it to a low temperature. Okay, that will spoil the food. So you have to ensure this is also low, and there will be a range where it is not affecting. So you have to ensure that using calibrated instrument checking, that all these 1 2 3 steps in the cold chain are at similar low temperatures, right? And option 4, which is retail display cabinets can be overloaded to maximum storage, is also not correct. So retail display cabinets should not be overloaded, because in cold conditions, right? So there is a amount of food that should be present, uh, and only till that amount, till that maximum threshold, can the cooling of that, you know, what is it, cabinet, be maintained. So if you overstuff it, the air circulation will not be there properly, right? And in that case, things like food produced at this position, etc., are not getting the cold conditions properly, and they will spoil. And once they start spoiling, that they can ensure, or it can happen that the surrounding food will also get spoiled. So retail, yeah, so retail display cabinets should not be overloaded, okay, to maximum storage. So only 1 and 3 are correct. Are there any doubts in this question?
No, ma'am.
All right. So I'll move on to question number 6. So question number 6 is, which of the following naturally occurring chemicals in fruits and vegetables is associated with allergic reactions? Again, more theoretical question. Do you want to try guessing what the answer is? No? All right. You can just write in the chat in case you don't want to unmute yourself, in case you know the answer.
Ma'am, option 4, acidic proteins.
All right. Anyone else thinks it's something else? C. All right. Also, people are answering. All right. D, C, C. All right. So let's see what the answer is. So the answer is acidic proteins. So mycotoxins, alkaloids, phytohema, glutenins are all molecules which will not cause allergic reactions, but they act as toxins. Okay, they are associated with poisonings of when associated with food, right? And most naturally occurring chemicals in fruits and vegetables that pose a risk as allergen is acidic protein. So for example, if you wanted to have an example, chitin, right, is acidic protein which is an allergen, and for example you can find it in bananas, right? So
Ma'am, does citric acid and salicylic acid has any reaction allergy?
usually no, from what I know. They are,
Okay.
yeah, so that is very, very specific. So they are not common allergens, but you can have allergies to them. So it varies depending on people, right? There are people who are allergic to water also, right? So it is a very specific thing, but most naturally occurring allergies, the very common ones, don't include them. But you can still have allergies to them, as far as I know. All right, so the answer is acidic proteins. The others are most more uh, poisonous in nature than allergens. Okay, so let's move on to question number 7. Which of the following is our major factors affecting the quality of fruit and vegetables during transportation? Option 1 is temperature control. Option 2 is humidity levels. Option 3 is physical handling. Do you want to try guessing the answer? 3. All right. All. 3. All right.
Ma'am, all are correct.
All right. So there is a confusion between 3 and all. So the correct answer is those who said all. So which is a major factor affecting the quality of fruits and vegetables during transportation? So if you don't control temperature properly, you can have, for example, there are certain fruits and vegetables that should not be transported in cold, very cold conditions, freezing conditions, right? Because like I was telling you that there are certain fruits who are like grown in, or fruits and vegetables which are grown in tropical conditions, etc. They don't have the proteins that is necessary to protect oneself against cold, so that affects them very drastically, and that can change the flavor and the texture of the fruits, right? Or there are certain fruits which are grown in cold climates, but if you transport them in a higher temperature, again you can have spoiling, you can have metabolic changes in the fruit that changes the taste, etc., right? So temperature control is important. Humidity levels is also important. So if it is very uh, low humidity, right? So the fruits and vegetables become dehydrated. You will get shriveled fruits and vegetables. That is why if you see in supermarkets, etc., you and there is a vegetable produce session, right? So they will have, or even your ready wala, they will pour or sprinkle water on top of the fruits to keep the humidity levels correct. But if it is very humid, right, if the conditions are very humid, then the chances of water damage to the tissue of the fruits and vegetables, and to the increase in like fungal pathogens or other pathogens also increases, and you might get spoiled food. And option 3, which is physical handling, so if you drop fruits, etc., and it starts bruising, right, it increases the spoiling, right? So even that is important. Any doubts in this question?
Ma'am, this transportation part comes under food technology or food process engineering?
Both. There is, it is,
Okay, ma'am.
yeah, it's not exactly split into this, it is both. So the technology to develop the transportation is the technology part, and the process is when it combines into an entire process, where from the harvesting to the selling of the produce, you it becomes a part of the process. So both. So question number 8 is, which of the following statements about handling fruits and vegetables is or are correct? Option 1 is gentle handling of produce helps prevent mechanical injuries. Option 2 is harvesting produce at optimum maturity is crucial for quality. And option 3, use of dirty containers can increase the microbial load. So again, I ask you, which do you think is the correct answer? Can be one, can be two, can be all three. Just try guessing in case you don't know the answer. That's also fine.
Ma'am, option 3 may be incorrect. Option 3.
Okay. Anyone else has any other answers? All right. So let's see what the answer is. So the correct answer is all three of them. So gentle handling of the produce will help you prevent mechanical injuries. Harvesting produce at optimum maturity is crucial for quality. Yes, so if you harvest them when they are overripe, there's a chance that whatever chain of transport you have before it reaches the end, you will get spoiled products. If it is too early, it might in depending on if the fruit is climatic or non-climatic, you might not even get to the ripening process properly, right? So, and use of dirty containers can increase microbial load. So, imagine this, you have a container that is not very frequently washed. Okay. In the last batch, you had fruits which were spoiled. Okay. And they had fungus growing on them, but you didn't wash them. And you're using the same container to transport a new fresh batch, right? Even though the fresh batch did not have the pathogens or the fungal spores, etc., you've now made them come in contact with the microbial load from the previous one, right? So if you use dirty containers, you can increase the microbial load, and depending on what sort of microbe it is, you can have food spoilage very early.
Ma'am, if we previously have done packaging and before it we have washed and all and packaging the, for example, apples, and then if dirty containers are used, then it will affect the
So
apples.
the like if you've already packaged it into something, so if it's already covered, obviously it will not affect as such. But in most cases, before the packaging has reached from the harvesting to wherever at least packaging is happening, there will be a transport, right? uh, and it might
Yes, ma'am.
not like, and it could be that the washing step has happened at the site and packaging happens at another site, could be that also. But if it is fully packaged, like a lot of fruits do come
Yes,
packaged,
yes,
but there are some fruits which do not come packaged, right? So
yes, ma'am.
yeah. So let's move on to question number 9 if there are no doubts in this. All right. So question number 9 is match the following type of question. The question is to match the following stages of handling given in column 1 with their proper practice in column 2. So column 1 has harvesting, loading and unloading, transportation and retail display. And column 2 has avoid using tone bags, gentle handling to avoid mechanical injuries, store in control environments, and use well pre-cooled vehicles. So you have to match the following, and from the different matches A, B, C, D given to you, you have to choose the correct one. Just try guessing if you can. There is, it's not an exam, so you can just try guessing. There is
And option D is correct.
D. All right. Anyone else? B. All right. Two. All
Uh,
right. So,
no, ma'am, option B. Option B is correct.
all right. So, yes, the correct answer is option B. Most of you are, in fact, getting it right. So, one, that is harvesting. is gentle handling to avoid mechanical injuries while harvesting. Two is loading and unloading. Avoid using tone back so that your produce doesn't fall and cause further mechanical injuries or coming to contact with dust, mud, etc. after, especially if they've been cleaned. Option C, that is transportation, is for use well pre-cooled vehicles, because during transportation, you're moving in the environment. If it's a hot condition, like for example, it's summertime and it's hot, and either uh, vehicle itself will be producing some sort of heat, right? So that can increase the heat that these produce face, and so you have to use a well pre-cooled vehicle. And retail display, that is store in cooled environment, right? Or sorry, store in controlled environments, depending on what sort of environment the fruit or vegetable prefers, right? So the correct option is option B. Are there any doubts regarding this question? All right, so I'm assuming no doubts. Let's move on to question number 10. So question number 10 is, which of the following statements about biological hazard in fruit and vegetables are correct? Option 1 is, bacteria, fungi, parasites and viruses are biological hazards found in food. Option 2 is, the primary source of microbial contamination of fresh fruits and vegetables include untreated manure, contaminated water, contaminated soil and poor sanitary practices. Option 3, contaminated water does not contribute to microbial contamination in fruits and vegetables. And option 4 is, untreated manure or feces and municipal biosolids are source of contamination. So yes, there are already answers coming in. Yes. So most of you seem to have, yeah.
1, 2, and 4.
Yeah. So the correct answer is 1, 2, and 4. So contaminated water does not contribute to microbial contamination in fruits and vegetables is incorrect, right? So a simple question. So let's move on to question number 11 if there are no doubts. All right. So question number 11 is, which of the following statements about storage conditions for fruit are correct? Option 1 is, low temperature slows down the metabolic processes. Option 2 is, high humidity can cause mold growth. Option 3 is, controlled atmosphere storage involves adjusting gas composition. So any guesses as to which is correct? All right.
Ma'am, all.
All right. Anyone else thinks it's something else? All right, so let's see what the answer is. So the answer is in fact all. So low temperature does slow down metabolic processes because there is an optimum temperature where the enzymes work, right? So if you go any lower than that, these enzymes don't work properly. So they can slow down the natural metabolic processes that happen in the fruit. And so because the metabolic processes are slowed down, they maintain that fruit or vegetable in that condition, right? High humidity can cause mold growth, yes, because fungus usually grows in a higher humid, conditions, right? So if you have a high humidity, that can cause, if there are fungal spores present, on the produce, it can cause them to grow as molds. And option three is controlled atmosphere storage involves adjusting gas composition. So if you increase or decrease the amount of oxygen or carbon dioxide, depending on what sort of pathogen it is, right? You can, if you decrease the amount of oxygen, if it's a aerobic pathogen, something that uses oxygen for its metabolic processes, you can um, starve the pathogen and it won't grow, right? So depending on that, you can control the atmospheric gas composition, right? So any doubts in this question? All right, so I'll move on to question number 12. Which of the following is a bottleneck in the cold chain in India? There are four options given to you: adequate transportation facilities, sufficient cold storage network, lack of cold storage slash warehouse facilities, and proper cold chain management. So, which is a bottleneck? So, a bottleneck in this case means something so important that the you know not having access to it can, no matter what else you have, can stop your cold chain process from happening. So the one most important thing.
Ma'am, option C.
All right, anyone else thinks it's something else? Yeah, no problems, you do guess, that's all right. Yeah, so the correct answer is in fact C. So lack of cold storage warehouse facilities. So even if your entire transportation is set, everything is set, and you've followed from the harvesting and processing phase, and you've transported throughout in cold chain, if you lack the cold storage or warehouse facilities, the entire process will be of waste. So example, that is not technically from food technology, but in case of vaccines, etc., right? So if even if you, a lot of vaccines require cold storage to work, right? So they have to be transported, made entirely in a certain temperature, right? And anything above that temperature will make that vaccine not work, right? So in a lot of cases, what can happen is either you have problems in the cold storage, like it that has not worked out, but most commonly what happens is you've not stored it in the correct temperature. So if your fridge is not of the correct temperature, like for example, a few questions ago they were saying if you stuff the fridge with produce, what happens is the temperature of the fridge, if it's supposed to be, imagine, 2 degrees Celsius, increases to 4 5 degrees Celsius, right? Because there's so many things stuffed inside. And when that happens, that vaccine, which is supposed to be stored at 2 or below, has been in 4 degree or 5 degrees Celsius throughout, and has lost its usage. So same thing can happen with fruits and vegetables. So if you've done the entire transportation cold, but you don't have facility to store that, then it is going to spoil, right? So C is in fact the correct answer. Let's move on to question number 13 if there are no doubts. So question number 13 is, what is the primary purpose of quality control in post-harvest handling? Option 1 is to ensure food safety. Option 2 is to maintain product quality. Option 3 is to comply with regulations. And option 4 is to not comply with regulations. So there's a very um, straightforward answer to this, right? All. All right. One, two, three. Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am, option 4 is incorrect because it is opposite of option 3.
Yeah. So that is correct. Yeah. So it's very cleverly worded, right? So if you didn't read the to not comply part, then you would have gotten confused. So to ensure food safety is correct, to maintain product quality is correct, to comply with regulations is also correct, and option 4, to not comply with regulations, is incorrect. But if you don't read it carefully, it will seem like it's saying to comply with regulations again, right? So you might think it's correct, but it is not correct. So this is a little reading comprehension sort of question. So I'm assuming this is a easy one. So let's move on to question number 14. So, which of the following statement is are correct regarding air delivery systems in refrigerated transport? So, if you have a van which is transporting and it is a refrigerated transport, which is correct regarding the delivery system for the cooling, right? So, in top air delivery system, the four options I'm reading out. In a top air delivery system, the refrigeration unit in front of the vehicle blows cold air along the ceiling. Option 2 is in a bottom air delivery system, the air flows from the front to the rear of the vehicle and is forced upwards through the cargo. And option 3, a typical top air delivery system is composed of delivery ducts along the ceiling, horizontal floor ducts, and a return air bulkhead. And option 4, in a bottom air delivery system, air movement is horizontal. So, which is or are correct?
Ma'am, option 1, 2, and 3 are correct.
All right. Does someone else think it's something else? So I'll just show the answers first and then the diagram, right? So the one, two, three are correct. So what is not correct is in a bottom delivery system, air movement is horizontal. It means like this, right? That is not correct. So this is a uh, uh, bottom air delivery system, right? So the air movement is vertical, so it moves upwards, right? So that is not correct. The rest all is correct. So the first option was in a top air delivery system, the refrigerated unit is in the front of the vehicle. Correct, right? And blows cold air along the ceiling. Also correct, right? Option two is in a bottom air delivery system, the air flows from the front to the rear of the vehicle and is forced upwards. That is also correct, like you can see here, right? Option 3, a top air delivery system is composed of air delivery duct. Yes. Along the ceiling, horizontal floor ducts, also correct, and air return bulkhead, right? And the option 4 was in a bottom air delivery system, air movement is horizontal, like this they meant, but that is not correct. The air movement is like this. Any doubts in this question?
Ma'am, what are the situations where top air delivery system is preferred over bottom air system?
Uh, this I am actually not too sure about. Let me just check this. Just give me a minute, okay?
And any disadvantages of top air delivery
So what I do
over
know
bottom?
is that it is the top air delivery system is more commonly used than the bottom one. All right. So just one
Okay,
second.
ma'am.
More questions is all right. So according to Google, this one I wasn't sure about, but according to Google, the top air delivery system is used when you already have products which are boxed, okay, and they are put as pallets of products, okay, and the load is not very tightly packed because the air is moving like this, right? So you you don't require the entirety of it to be very evenly cooled. You already have packed products. But the bottom one is when you have bulk products which are go and very tightly packed together they are. So you require that pressure from the bottom to top moving so that it moves throughout the entire set of products very evenly, right? So it is better for uniform temperature to be maintained, right? especially when there is a lot of produce that is present inside the transportation unit, right? But if you have a more, free transportation unit, especially in cases where it's already packed, right? So in and it's set as containers instead of maybe an entire box filled with just onions, right? So in that case, in produces like that where it's just free onions, free fruits and vegetables, it bottom is preferred, and in cases where it's already packed, the top is preferred. All right.
Yes, ma'am. Mainly, it's when the, for example, vehicle is fully loaded or packed.
Yeah.
It
And
goes.
especially if it's not, if it the food is not packed. Imagine the container is just like multiple fruits and vegetables unpacked completely, right? And they're
Yeah.
very dense. So if it's something is packed, you have that volume for the box in which it is packed also, right? So when you pack something, you still have a little volume left, and it is present in uniform conditions, right? So you can ensure that the air is moving throughout without having to push air through like you do in bottom. All right. I
Yes,
hope
ma'am.
that clears it. Yeah. So let's move on to question number 15. So question number 15 is match the quality control measures given in column 1 with their purpose in column 2. So column 1 is sanitation, temperature control, traceability and inspection. Column 2 is prevents microbial growth, ensures cleanliness, tracks produce handling and verifies compliance.
Ma'am, option D.
D, all right. So let's see if that is the correct answer. There are other people also saying the correct answer is D. So yes, D is in fact correct. So sanitation ensures cleanliness. Yes. Temperature control prevents microbial growth. Yes. Uh, Traceability tracks produce handling. Yes. So that you know if all steps have been, completed and what time, what day, etc. So that you can keep a track of exactly how long this produce will last, right? And inspection to verify the compliance. So, yes, the answer is D. Does anyone have any doubt in this? All right. So let's move on to
No,
question.
ma'am.
Yeah, let's move on to question number 16. Question number 16 is which factor most significantly influences the hydraulic pressing of oil nuts? Right. Option A is temperature, option B is pressure, option C is nut moisture content, and option D is particle size. So the question itself is giving you the answer. So just look at the question carefully. Yes.
Option C.
Try guessing again. Look at the question slightly carefully. So I'll just maybe show the answer itself. Since they're talking about hydraulic pressing, right? The most significant part of the hydraulic pressing of nut oils is pressure, right? Not the temperature or the nut moisture content or the nut particle size, but the more something that is significantly influencing the amount of oil you will get is the pressure at which you are pressing the nuts, right? Is this clear? Right, I'll assume it is. So let's move on to question number 17. So question number 17 is which of the following statements about cold pressing is correct? There are three options. Cold pressing is carried out at lower temperatures to preserve oil quality. Option 2 is cold pressing typically results in lower yields compared to hot pressing. And option C is cold pressing oils often retain more flavor and nutrients. So there are two ways in which you can extract oil. One is you heat something and when you squeeze it you will get the oil. Another is to cold press it. So all right. So the yeah.
Ma'am, all are correct.
Yeah. So the correct answer is
All are correct.
yeah. So the correct answer is all of them. So cold pressing is carried out at lower temperatures to preserve oil quality. So as the name itself is suggesting the cold part, right? Cold pressing typically results in lower yield compared to hot pressing. So what happens is when you hot press, right, you are increasing the amount of oil that is released from the cells because of the increase in temperature. But cold pressing is not like that. It is dependent mostly just upon the pressure which you're applying to the produce to extract that oil, right? And cold pressing often retains more flavor and nutrients because in hot pressing there will be some chemical reactions taking place, right? And that can change the profile of the oil that you're getting. But cold pressing is done at a lower temperature, so it maintains that chemical profile, and therefore it will maintain the or retain the flavor and nutrients. All right, so let's move on to question number 18. Question number 18 is, which of the following options is correct related to the ripening of the food? So option, wait, I've gone on to the answer itself. So yeah, you guys saw the answer, I think. So which of the following options correct? Option A is ethylene treatment can be used to obtain faster and more uniform ripening. Option B is the optimum temperature range for ripening is 25 to 45 degrees Celsius. Option C is the RH or the relative humidity should be maintained between 30 to 40% during 45% during ripening. And option D is about 30 ppm ethylene is in enclosed chamber is sufficient to initiate ripening. So yes, so you guys might have already seen the answer. So let's just see the answer itself, right? So the correct answer is option A. So uh, option A states that ethylene treatment can be used to obtain faster and more uniform ripening, which is correct, right? Option B, that is the optimum temperature range for ripening is 25 to 45 degrees Celsius, is wrong because that is a very high temperature, right? So the optimum range is around 15 to 25 degrees Celsius. Okay. Option C, that is uh, relative humidity RH should be maintained between 30 to 45% during ripening, is also not correct. It should be around 90 to 95%. All right. And about 10 ppm of ethylene instead of 30. So it should be 10 ppm of ethylene is in enclosed chamber is sufficient for initiating ripening. So let's move on to question number 19 if there are no doubts. All right. So question number 19 is, which of the statement is correct related to the size reduction process? Yeah, just one second.
Ma'am, the question is not visible.
Yeah, I've lost my battery is gone for my notepad, so I'll just do it in the laptop itself. Just one second. All right. I hope it's visible now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So the question is, which of the statement is correct related to the size reduction process? Option 1, peeling is done to remove unwanted or inedible material. Option 2, coring is done to remove central inedible portion using a corer. And option C, peeling is done to improve the appearance of the final product using a peeler. So which of these do you think is correct?
Ma'am, option A, option 1, 2, and 3, all are correct.
All right. Does anyone think it's something else? All right. So let's see the answer. And yes, all three of them are correct. So in the like in packaging, especially in canning, etc., right? So when you can fruits and vegetables, so you do the peeling, right? And it removes any surface that is not edible. Okay. Coring also removes, like for example, if you have a peach, right? So you will remove the seed within, right? If you're canning it, because you want only the final product that is consumable directly by the consumer without having to do any more processing. So this is the final form of processing, right? The consumer itself doesn't have to do any processing. So coring you will do to remove the central inedible portion of certain fruits, right? And peeling can also be done to improve the appearance, the final appearance of the product, right? So um, for example, coconuts, right? So if you want to improve for you know um, consumer, for it, for them to have a easier time using that coconut, right? You will remove the entirety of the husk, and you might even remove the final outer layer of it, right? It's not exactly peeling, but you will still do it, and it will improve the appearance of the final product, right? So any doubts in this question? All right, so let's move on to the final question for today, which is, what is the primary cause of mechanical injuries to fruits and vegetables during transportation? So there are four options given to you. Option A is low temperature, option B is high humidity, option C is rough handling, and option D is controlled atmosphere. So the question itself is asking about mechanical injuries to fruit. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm option C, as it sounds mechanical
Yeah.
injuries.
So um, this is an easy question, right? So the answer for this is rough handling. So since it's talking about mechanical injury, not chill injuries or heat injuries, um, it is the rough handling of a fruit and vegetable that can cause mechanical injuries. So you have to ensure that when you're harvesting the fruit, it doesn't fall, or it doesn't get cut by the shears that you're using to cut the fruit, because wherever that mechanical injury appears, that will be the first place where spoilage takes place. And if it is a cut into the fruit, then it is much more easier for pathogens to enter inside the fruit and to spoil it, because the outer layer of the fruit and vegetables is acting as a guard against these pathogens, right? But if you have a cut or a mechanical injury somewhere and the pathogens can go inside, it is much more easier for them to grow inside a fruit or vegetable than it's to grow outside, right? So that is it for the questions today. Does anyone have any doubts in any of the questions, or any doubts in general? So for those, just a reminder, tomorrow is the due date for assignment 1 and assignment 2. All right. So in case you haven't completed the assignments, please do it, so that you can get marked for it, especially those who are planning to appear for the final exam, right? Even those who are not, just to check your progress, just do the assignments. Apart from that, is there any doubt? The person who had asked me about the gate, I'll look it up and tell you before ending this class. But for others, is there any doubt regarding any of the questions? So I am recording the session, and YouTube link, I don't know how, but it will be shared with you. So you will be able to see it, and you will also be able to see the PPT. So no problem about that, in case you want to go over the questions again later. But any doubts?
No, ma'am.
All right. So I think you had asked me about the gate one, right? So apart from Soumya, everyone else can leave the session. So the questions are at end, and you don't have any doubts, right? So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. The same session will take place next week Tuesday, and another session by another TA, but with the same questions, will take place next week or this week Sunday. All right. So the others can leave the meeting if they don't have any doubts. I'll just look up the gate question and then I'll let you know. I'll just stop sharing this tab. Just one sec.
Ma'am, are you from IIT Bombay?
Yes. Mm. So there is no negative marking for MSQ questions in GATE. No partial markings also. So either you get the entirety of it correct or you get the entirety of it wrong.
And what about the partial marking if I got two options right
So
and
no partial marking.
I left one?
No. So you have to get all
No
of them
partial
correct.
marking.
No. So what it is saying is
Okay, ma'am.
for MCQs in which there is only one correct answer, you will get 2 marks for the correct answer and 2 by 3 marks will be deducted for every incorrect answer. But for questions which have
Yes.
multiple answers, right? So there will be no negative marking for it, but you will also not get any partial marks for in case you've gotten two options correct and one wrong or something like that. So you will have
Ma'am,
to.
are you from IIT Bombay?
Yeah, I am. Why?
Uh, it doesn't have any food process engineering branch. I am from NIT Rourkela.
Yeah, no, IIT does not have any food processing engineering branch. The closest that you can get is the biological science department.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay, ma'am.
yeah. All right. So if that doubt of yours is clear, you can also leave the meeting.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Kriti, do you have a doubt?
No, ma'am.
All right. So you can also leave the meeting in case you don't have a doubt or you don't want me to repeat any questions or anything like that.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Hi. Uh, Hi. The session for today is almost over, I think, but do you want me to go over the questions once more? Sanket, am I audible? Sanket, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you want me to go over the questions? I think you were there in the session before also, so that's why I'm asking because that session is over. Like I did all the 20 questions. Do you have any doubts or do you want me to go over some questions?
I missed some question, ma'am. Lectures.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
I'm late for joining.
All right. So do you remember which question you remember? Like which question did you join in?
Uh, I don't understand, ma'am.
You didn't understand what?
Uh, Questions.
What didn't you understand about the question? Can I know that? Like, where is the doubt in the question? I can help you with that. So, can you share with me what exactly the doubt is?
I'm not attending all session, ma'am. So
These are not like it doesn't matter as such if you're attending this session. Like, it is for solving any doubts that you have. So, these are not part of the module. So, whatever you're learning in the module, right? So that is all the data. This is just for problem solving. So this is, we'll just be taking questions, and that's all. We're not teaching you anything new in these sessions. So even if you've missed the previous one, it doesn't matter. If you've attended the module in NPTEL, then it is fine. You'll have the information for this question.
uh, now I'm next lecture. Next lecture timing.
So there are two lectures. One is on Sunday. I think I just, let me see what time it is. Uh, Yeah, Sunday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Another TA takes, and from Tuesday 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I take. And the questions are the same. So, depending on whichever time you're free, if you're free on Sunday 4 to 6, you can join that session. Or if you're free on Tuesday 6 to 8, you can join this session.
Okay, ma'am.
All right. So,
Yes.
any doubt in the questions today or something?
No, ma'am.
No? All right. Sure.
I can leave, ma'am.
Yeah, you can leave. In case you want to see the session again, I'll you upload it to YouTube, and the link will be shared with you, so you can see the session again. Not a problem. All right.
Links will be shared in Gmail, ma'am.
Not Gmail. I think there is in the NPTEL itself. There is a. Uh, I don't know where it is, but there is a provision to share it. But I'll share it in the chat also. Just
Okay, ma'am.
see the chat. So this is a Google spreadsheet in which you will have the live session recordings for both the TAs and our PPTs also. So you can
Okay, ma'am.
see that. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi. Had you joined the session before? Are you rejoining? Suguna? Is this your first time joining the session? Can you hear me? Am I audible? Suguna, can you hear me? If you don't know, yeah, sure. All right. So, are you rejoining, or this is your first time, like for today? First time. All right. So, do you want me to go over the questions? All right. So the first question is, just tell me whatever you think the answer is. All right. So, which of the following statement is correct regarding the role of temperature in the deterioration of produce? So, there are four options given to you. So, which do you think is the correct answer? There can be multiple correct answers also, just so that it's not just one correct answer. It could be one, two, three, or all four of them can also be correct. So, what do you think the correct answer for this is? Any guesses? All right, I'm not seeing anything in the chat, I think. So the correct answer for this is option A. So exposure to undesirable temperature can result in physiological disorders such as freezing injury or chilling injury and heat injury. Option B is not correct because an increase in 10 degree Celsius above the optimum temperature does not decrease the deterioration, but it increases the deterioration by two times. So, since it's saying the opposite, option B is not correct. Option C, that temperature does not influence the growth rate of fungal spores and pathogen, is also not correct. The higher the temperature, the better the fungal spores and pathogens grow till a threshold limit, obviously. And option D, environmental temperature has a minimum role in deterioration of produce, is also not correct. So the higher the environmental, or if it's very low also, both of these things can deteriorate the produce. Um, and you have to keep it in an optimal temperature for it to, you know, maintain for a longer time. Is that clear? Any doubt in this question? Alright, so let's move on to question number two. Which of the following chemicals is commonly used to control spoilage and improve the quality of grapes? And out of the four answers, sulfur dioxide is the correct answer. All right. So if you fumigate grapes using sulfur dioxide, it is the most commonly used fumigation method for grapes, especially. All right, before they are transported. Okay. So I'll just move quickly through the questions. Just tell me if you have any doubt. Just write it in the chat. Okay. So question number 3 is, which of the following statements about hydrocooling is correct? Okay. So out of the four statements, the correct answers are 1, 3, and 4. So option 1, that is, produce is cooled by cold water, either by immersion, you're completely immersing the produce, or you're just sprinkling or showering the water, cold water on top of the produce. Uh, can both be done for hydrocooling. Heat transfer takes place by convection, and just one sec. Yeah, by conduction and convection. So option 2 is not correct. Heat transfer does not take place by radiation, it takes place by convection and conduction. Option 3, the produce does not dehydrate but gets clean by reducing primary inoculum load, is also correct. So since you are immersing it in water or sprinkling it with water, the produce obviously does not dehydrate because you're maintaining the humidity, right? And because you're cleaning it in water, it will reduce whatever load of inoculum is there. And it can be used for soft vegetables and fruits like stem leafy vegetables, uh, fruits and fruit type vegetables, right? They can be cooled using this method. Okay. So let's move on to question number 4. Which of the following statements about cryogenic cooling is or are correct? And the correct answer is 1, 2, and 4. So the use of heat of evaporation of liquid nitrogen and dry ice can produce a boiling temperature. In this case, we're saying boiling, even though we're talking about cooling, because the temperature at which liquid nitrogen converts into gaseous nitrogen is minus 196 degrees Celsius. So the process technically is called boiling, right? Because it is converting from solid to gas. And similarly for solid CO2, that is dry ice, the boiling temperature is minus 78 degrees Celsius. But these are very low temperatures, right? So technically it's cooling in terms of what we're doing, but in terms of the chemical reaction, it is a boiling, right? Option 2, in cryogenic cooling, the produce is cooled by conveying it, like the fruits and vegetables are moved over a conveyor belt, and the liquid nitrogen or solid CO2 is allowed to evaporate over it, so that the cooling of the fruits and vegetables take place, is also correct. Cryogenic cooling is relatively expensive to install but cheap to run, is incorrect. It is relatively cheap to install since all you need is the conveyor belt system, right? But it is expensive to run because liquid nitrogen and dry ice is both expensive. And option 4, the main and to maintain it in that condition temperature is also expensive, right? Option 4, the main application of cryogenic cooling is in cooling crops such as soft fruits which have seasonal production period, is also correct. So after the seasonal production period is over, you will not get this fruit more, right? So you do this cryogenic cooling so that you can sell it as a frozen product for longer, right? So let's move on to question number 5. Which of the following statement is are correct about the general requirement for cold chain conditions? And the correct answer is option 1 and 3. So you have to ensure that the fluid are transferred in a continuous operation, is correct. And option 3, which is frequent and systematic temperature checks using appropriate calibrated instruments are required, is also correct, so that you can ensure that from step 1 to step 2 to step 3, for example, the temperature is constant, right? So you don't have drastic increase or decrease in temperature because that can spoil your food. Cooked and uncooked food should never be stored together directly in contact with each other, because spoiling of one can lead to spoiling of the other, right? And the retail display cabinet should be overloaded to maximum storage, is also not correct, because if you overload it to maximum storage, the cooling of the display cabinets is decreased. So the produce is present in a higher temperature and that can cause spoilage. So it should never be overloaded. Okay. So question number 6 is, which of the following naturally occurring chemicals in fruits and vegetables is associated with allergic reactions? And the correct answer is acidic proteins such as chitin, right? So in banana, chitin is a protein, and that is the major cause of allergy to bananas, right? The other three are poisonous proteins mostly. So they cause poisoning but not allergic reaction. And it is acidic proteins which cause the allergic reaction. So question number 7 is, which of the following is our major factors affecting the quality of fruits and vegetables during transportation? And the correct answer for this is all three. So temperature control, humidity levels, and physical handling is all important. Physical handling ensures that there is no mechanical injury to the fruits and vegetables. Humidity levels ensure that it is not so less humid that the produce shrinks, and it is not so humid that fungal spores etc. can cause mold. And temperature control ensures that neither heat damage nor chilling damage happens to the produce, right? So question number 8 is, which of the following statements about handling fruits and vegetables is or are correct? And the correct answer to this is all three. So you have to gently handle the produce to prevent any mechanical injuries. You have to harvest the produce at optimum maturity. If you do it any less, there's a chance that it will not ripen. If you do it after ripening, there's a chance that it will spoil before the transportation to wherever you're selling this produce happens, right? And option three, use of dirty containers can increase microbial load. So if your container in which you're transporting it is dirty, that pathogen load can be transferred on to the fruits and vegetables, and it can increase the microbial load of the fruit and vegetables. So question number 9 is, match the following kind. And of this, the correct answer is B. So B states that. So the correct answer is harvesting is, uh, you have to choose the stages of handling and the proper practice that is connected with it. So for harvesting, you have to ensure that gentle handling, it is option 2 of column 2, to avoid mechanical injury. Loading and unloading, you should avoid use of turn bags, because if you use turn bags while loading and unloading, there's a chance that the produce may fall, right? Option 3, transportation. The correct matching to that is option 4, use of well pre-cooled vehicles while transportation so that spoilage does not take place. And option 4, retail display, for stored in a controlled environment, right? So if you are displaying it, so the produce will stay in the display case for a few hours to days, right? So if it is not in a controlled environment, the food will spoil. So you have to ensure controlled environment there. All right. So question number 10 is, which of the following statements about biological hazard in fruit and vegetables is or are correct? And from the options, option 1, 2 and 4 is correct. So bacterial, fungal, parasite and virus are biological hazards found in food. That is correct. Option 2, the primary source of microbial contamination of fresh fruits and vegetables include any untreated manure that you're using as fertilizer, contaminated water that you're using to water the plants, and contaminated soil if you already have had some sort of infection, and poor sanitary practices. Okay. Option 3, contaminated water does not contribute to microbial contamination in fruits and vegetables, therefore is incorrect, because in option 2 it is saying that contaminated water does contaminate fruits and vegetables, right? So option 3 is incorrect. Option 4, untreated manure or feces and municipal biosolids are source of contamination is also correct. So question number 11, which of the following statements about storage condition for fruit is true? Uh, and the correct answer for this is all three. So low temperature slows down the metabolic process. That is why you either store them, or store them in colder conditions, right? So that is why you use the fridge, etc., to store produces, so that the metabolic process slows down. A high humidity can cause mold growth, yes, because fungus usually grows in high humid conditions. And controlled atmospheric storage involves adjusting gas composition. So controlled atmospheric storage, for example, if you decrease the amount of oxygen, you can, starve the pathogens, if they are aerobic pathogens, of the necessity for them to do metabolic processes, right? And certain metabolic processes within the fruits and vegetables also require certain gases. So if you change the amount of, or the composition of the gas, you can control the atmosphere, right? The storage conditions. So question number 12 is, which of the following is a bottleneck? In this case, bottleneck means something that is preventing the process from taking place properly, right? In cold chain in India. And the correct answer is lack of cold storage or warehouse facilities. So even if you've transported from harvesting to um, the storage facility in cold conditions, but if you don't have the cold storage or warehouse facility, the entire process goes to waste, right? Question number 13 is, what is the primary purpose of quality control in post harvest handling? And the correct answer is 1, 2, and 3. To ensure food safety, to maintain product quality, to comply with regulations. Option 4 is the exact opposite of option 3, that is to not comply with regulations, and therefore that is false. Right? Question number 14 is, which of the following statement is are correct regarding air delivery systems? So the correct answer, first let's see. In top air delivery system, the refrigeration unit is in the front of the vehicle and blows cold air along the ceiling. So this is the top one. So it is in the front of the system and it is blowing cold air along the ceiling. That is correct. In bottom air delivery system, the air flows from the front to the rear of the vehicle and is forced upward through the cargo. So the bottom picture that you're seeing is the bottom delivery system, and you can see from the arrows, the blue arrows, that from the bottom to the top it is moving. Option C is, a typical top air delivery system is composed of air delivery duct along the ceiling, horizontal flow ducts, and a return air bulkhead. If you can see, just one sec. Mm, yeah, so if you can see here, so you will have the delivery system, you will have horizontal ducts, and you will have a return bulkhead, right? So all first three are correct. In the bottom air delivery system, air movement is horizontal. So horizontal means like this, right, from left to right, but it is from bottom to top. So it is vertical. So that is why it is not correct. Question number 15 is again a match the following type. You have to match the quality control measures in column 1 to their purpose in column 2. So the correct answer is option D. So that means sanitation ensures cleanliness, temperature control prevents microbial growth, traceability tracks produce handling, and inspections verifies compliance. Question number 16. Which factor most significantly influences the hydraulic pressing of oil nuts? And since it is mentioning the hydraulic pressing, so the correct answer is pressure. Pressure is most significant influence in the pressing of oil nuts. Question number 17 is, which of the following statements about cold pressing is correct? And the correct answer is all three. So cold pressing is carried out at lower temperatures to preserve the oil quality, right? Cold pressing typically results in lower yield because you're getting the yield depending on how much you're pressing the nuts, right? And how much that is breaking the cell to to release the oil, compared to hot pressing, in which case the temperature itself will separate the oil from the rest of it, so you'll get more oil, but you the quality of oil you get will be different. And option 3, cold pressing oil often retains more flavor and nutrients because at the cold temperature no metabolic processes are taking place, but in hot conditions there will be certain chemical reaction that is taking place that will change the flavor and the nutrient profile of the oils. Option number 18, which of the option is correct relating to the ripening of the food? And the correct answer is ethylene treatment can be used to obtain faster and more uniform ripening. Option 2 is incorrect because the range for ripening is 15 to 25 degrees Celsius, not 25 to 45 degrees Celsius. This is too high. The RH, or the relative humidity, should be from 90 to 95 degree percentage during ripening, not 30 to 45 degree. Sorry, 30 to 45%. And around 10 ppm of ethylene is needed for ripening, not 30 ppm. Question number 19 is, which of the statement is correct related to the size reduction process? And the correct answer is peeling is done to remove any unwanted or parts that you can't eat. Okay. Coring, that is removing the core of the fruit, is done to remove the again not edible part of the fruit. For example, if you remove the core of the apple or the core of the peach, right? And peeling is done to improve the appearance of the final product also. So even if it is edible, you might want to remove it because it makes the final product look much more appealing. And finally, the last question, question number 20. What is the primary cause of mechanical injury to fruit and vegetables during transportation? And the correct answer is rough handling. So if you roughly handle the fruits and vegetables during transportation, they can fall or they can get bruised. And they are what make up the mechanical injuries. So low temperature, high humidity, controlled atmosphere, etc. can cause high humidity can cause spoilage and growth of mold, etc. And the low temperature and controlled atmosphere, etc. can cause chilling injury or heat injury of fruits, right? So these are all the questions for today. Do you have any doubts regarding any of the questions or the answers? Suguna, do you have any doubts in any of the questions? Are you still in the meet? Suguna, can you still hear me? Are you still in the meeting? All right. So I'm not seeing any response in the chat or anything. So I am going to close this meeting. I am asking once more. Suguna, are you in the meeting? Can you hear me? All right. So I've finished all the 20 questions. The recording for this session will be uploaded online and shared with you. So you can have a look at it when that is done. And the PPT will also be available in case you want to see it. All right. Yeah. So, sure. Got it. Do you have any doubts regarding any of the questions that I've taken today? Anything that you want to clarify? All right. Sure. You can ask me this time also, like if you have any doubts. Just tell me which question. If you don't remember the question, you can just tell me what the question was about and I'll go to that question. All right, so I'm not seeing anything, so I'm assuming no questions. So I'll finish the meeting for today. You can leave the meeting. I'm about to close it for this session. Yes, thank you so much for joining. See you next time.